For nearly 1,000 years, the throne of the greatest kingdom of men sat empty. In the high hall of Minas Tirith, the winged crown of Gondor did not rest upon a living head, but in the lap of a dead king within the silent tombs of Rath Dinan. Throughout those long centuries, the line of Isildur persisted in the shadows of the north, a secret succession of chieftains preserved by the wisdom of Elrond in the grit of the Dunedain. Among them was Aragorn II, a man of such lineage and power that he seemed a king out of the mists of the sea. Yet, Aragorn spent nearly 90 years as a nameless wanderer, a ragged ranger of the wild, before he finally placed that crown upon his brow. To the casual observer, it seems a strange delay. Why did the heir of Elendil wait so long to claim his birthright? Welcome to Echoes of Middle-earth, where today we're unraveling the complex web of prophecy, politics, and personal testing to answer one of the most significant questions in the history of the Third Age. Why did Aragorn not claim the throne sooner?
To understand Aragorn's restraint, we must first look at the heavy weight of history and the bitter precedents set by his ancestor, Arvedui, the last king of the North. A millennium before the War of the Ring, the North Kingdom of Arnor had crumbled, and Arvedui attempted to claim the crown of Gondor when the southern line failed. He argued that the realms of Elendil should never have been divided, and that he was the direct heir of Isildur. However, his claim was flatly rejected by the Council of Gondor and the steward Pelennor. They insisted that the royalty of Gondor belonged solely to the heirs of Anarium, and they viewed the northern line as a ragged house of diminished importance. This rejection led to a long period where the heirs of Isildur became the chieftains of the Dunedain, a secret and wandering people whose very existence was hidden from the world. Aragorn knew this history well. He understood that a king cannot simply demand a throne through blood alone. He must be accepted by a people who have grown used to the rule of the stewards.
This necessity for secrecy was the defining characteristic of Aragorn's early life. Born in a time of growing shadow, his father Arathorn II was slain by orcs when Aragorn was only 2 years old. To protect the last hope of the line of Isildur, his mother Gilrain took him to Rivendell, where he was fostered by Elrond. At the bidding of the wise, his true name and lineage were kept a profound secret. Even Aragorn did not know who he was, being called only Estel, which signifies hope. Elrond knew that the enemy was actively seeking the heir of Isildur to destroy him. If Aragorn had attempted to claim any throne in his youth, he would have essentially painted a target on his back for the Dark Tower before he was strong enough to resist the search. It was only when he reached the age of 20, having achieved great deeds alongside the sons of Elrond, that his true name was revealed, and he received the heirlooms of his house, the Ring of Barahir and the Shards of Narsil. However, even with the knowledge of his destiny, Aragorn was faced with a monumental task. Elrond, acting with the foresight of the Eldar, set a high and seemingly impossible bar for the young heir. Aragorn had fallen in love with Arwen Undomiel, the daughter of Elrond, but the Master of Rivendell decreed that Arwen should not diminish her life's grace for a lesser cause than the restoration of the kingship of men. He told Aragorn, "She shall not be the bride of any man less than the king of both Gondor and Arnor." This command meant that Aragorn could not simply be a king in name or a claimant in exile. He had to actually achieve the total reunification of the sundered realms of the Dunedain. This was not a task for a young man, but for a seasoned leader who had mastered his own soul and the hearts of others. Consequently, Aragorn entered a long period of errantry and testing that lasted nearly 30 years. He became the greatest traveler and huntsman of his age, going in many guises and winning renown under many names. Most famously, he served in disguise under the name Thorongil, the Eagle of the Star, in the service of both Thengel of Rohan and Ecthelion II of Gondor. During this time, he performed incredible feats, such as leading a small fleet to burn the ships of the corsairs at Umbar. He was loved by the people,
and esteemed by the stewards. Yet even then, he did not reveal his identity. He was elven wise and possessed a light in his eyes that few could endure. Yet he chose to remain a captain of the Rangers, a people unused to cities and houses of stone. He was studying the realm he would one day rule, learning its strengths and its weaknesses, and waiting for the hour when his revealing would not cause a civil war, but provide a desperate salvation.
The political climate in Gondor was perhaps the greatest internal obstacle to his return. The current steward, Denethor II, was a man of high Númenórean blood and a masterful lord who held the rule of all things in his own hand. Denethor was subtle and far-sighted, and it is believed that through his use of the Palantir, he had guessed the true identity of Thorongil and the designs of Gandalf. Denethor's pride was absolute. He refused to be a tool of a wizard's policies or the dotard chamberlain of an upstart. He famously declared that he would not step down for a ragged house long bereft of lordship and dignity. If Aragorn had arrived in Minas Tirith and declared himself king during Denethor's prime, he would have likely split the kingdom apart at a time when its survival required total unity against Mordor. Aragorn's wisdom lay in his patience. He knew that the time for his claim was unripe until the very foundation of the steward's authority was shaken by the ultimate crisis.
The catalyst for the change in tides was the finding of Isildur's bane, the One Ring. Ancient lore held that the sword Narsil, which broke beneath Elendil, would not be forged again until the ring was found and Sauron returned. For generations, the shards had been a silent testament to a broken past, but the arrival of the halfling in Rivendell changed everything. At the Council of Elrond, Aragorn stood and cast the pieces of the blade upon the table, declaring, "Here is the sword that was broken." The sword was forged anew and named Unduril, the Flame of the West. But even then, Aragorn did not ride straight to the throne. He understood that the true quest was the destruction of the ring and that his own hour was tied to the fate of the ring-bearer. His journey with the Fellowship was his final trial of leadership. In the mines of Moria, after the fall of Gandalf, the burden of guidance was laid solely upon him. He was forced to make evil choices between the safety of the ring and the rescue of his companions. It was in these moments of folly and faith that Aragorn's quality as a king was truly forged. He chose to follow the orcs across the plains of Rohan to save Merry and Pippin, a chase that was accounted a marvel among the three kindreds, rather than abandoning them to seek his own glory in the south. He was proving his worth not to a council of lords, but to the very land itself. The final phase of his claiming the throne involved a series of acts that manifested his power and royalty in ways that could not be denied by any steward. By treading the paths of the dead and summoning the Oathbreakers, he fulfilled an ancient prophecy and proved himself the heir of the one to whom they had sworn their oath. By arriving at the Battle of the Pelennor Fields and the black ships of the enemy, unfurling a standard of the White Tree and the 7 stars wrought by Arwen, he revealed himself in the absolute crisis of the city's fall. Yet, even after that victory, his humility was his greatest weapon. He refused to enter the city as a conqueror, saying, "I will not enter in, nor make any claim until it be seen whether we or Mordor shall prevail." He set up his tents upon the field, remaining a captain of the Rangers until he was invited in. The true recognition of his kingship came not from a crown, but from his hands. As the old lore of Gondor said, "The hands of the king are the hands of a healer, and so shall the rightful king be known." By using Athelas to call back Faramir, Éowyn, and Merry from the Black Shadow, Aragorn won the hearts of the people in a way that lineage never could. When he was finally crowned, it was by the hands of the ring-bearer and the wizard, signifying that his kingdom was built upon the sacrifices of all the free peoples. Aragorn did not claim the throne sooner because he was not merely looking to be a ruler,
He was looking to be the renewer. He had to wait until his own strength was full, until the ancient prophecy was met, and until the pride of the stewards had given way to the desperate need of the people. He had to be the crownless who wandered until the ashes were ready to be woken into a fire. To understand Aragorn's delay is to see a man who valued the survival of his people above the speed of his own triumph. A king who knew that the longest road is often the only one that leads home.
Thank you for joining us for this investigation into the life and choices of King Elessar here on Echoes of Middle-earth. If you found this journey through the history of the Dunedain and the restoration of the line of Isildur insightful, make sure to like and subscribe as we continue to unearth the hidden lore of Tolkien's magnificent world. Until the stars shine again on our meeting, may your path be guided by the light of the West and your heart be as patient as the heir of kings.